This today is a recipe that goes back probably about 60 years. It's a school recipe, and goes back to days when things were more frugal. You didn't have much money, and you used perhaps we're happier with smaller size cakes and things than we are today. So what we've got is 100 grams of sugar, 100 millilitres of water, 100 grams of margarine, 100 grams of mixed fruit, 200 grams of self-raising flour, and 1 egg, which we're just going to whisk up just gently with a fork probably. We've got an 8-inch or 20 centimetre cake baking tin with a loose bottom. It's got parchment in the bottom and parchment around the edges. If anybody wants me to show them how to cut parchment to fit in the bottom, I cheat and buy these circles, but I can show you how to cut one to fit if you like, and parchment around the edge. But just leave me a note in the comments section, I'll be happy to do another video on that. So what we're going to initially do is to put the sugar, water, margarine and soft fruit into the saucepan, and we're going to warm that up gently, very gently, to boiling point. And then once we've got it to boiling point, we'll give it a good old stir up, and then we'll leave it until it goes cool but not cold, because you don't want the margarine to start to solidify again before we finally put the flour, ideally sifted flour, and the whisked egg in at a slightly later stage, but I'll come on to that in a minute. So, as I say, sugar, 100 grams sugar, 100 ml of water, 100 grams of margarine, 100 grams of mixed fruit. I'm just going to heat that up gently on the stove and to boiling point, and once it boils we'll make sure to keep stirring it regularly, and once it boils we can then just turn it off completely and let it cool, and then I'll let you know what the next stage is. So the margarine etc. on the hob has now come gently to the boil, and now I'm going to leave that to rest to cool for a while. I'll put the time into the description section of the video, hopefully a bit later on, so we'll see how long it takes. As I said earlier, we don't want it to go completely cold because we don't want the margarine to then suddenly solidify again, because it won't really work very well. But we do need it to be cold enough so as it doesn't mess up the action of the self-raising flour before we put it into the oven, because we might effectively kill the benefit of the self-raising flour if the mixture from the pan is too hot still when the flour and the whisked egg are added. As is our custom in modern days, we generally tend to look at a cake being thicker. In this 8-inch tin, the cake will be fairly thin, but if you want a thicker cake, if you put it into a 7-inch tin rather than, or 175 mil, 17.5 centimetre tin, rather than this 20 centimetre 8-inch tin, then you'll get a thicker cake. But to be honest, the thin cake that I did the other day was very, very moist, and it tasted really good, but it was just a bit thinner. So I've now been waiting about 40 minutes for this mixture to cool down. I've transferred it into the Pyrex bowl a little while ago, and I can get my finger in and it still feels a little bit warm, but I'm just going to add in the sifted self-raising flour, 200 grams of that. So I'm just going to sift that in. Whizzy, whizzy, whizzy. Oh god, it's going everywhere. There we are. Oh, it's everywhere. There we are. It's all gone in there. So I'm just going to pop that in, and I'm just going to pop in my little whiskey 1 egg. Put it into there as well. And then I'm just going to fold that in together with my metal spoon and make that into a nice sort of I say solid sort of mixture. You'll see in a minute it's coming together now. Just fold this in, get a bit of air into it. Not very nice, does it? It tastes good. Seems a lot runnier than it did the last one I made, so anyway, it does seem very runny today. So that's all nicely mixed together, and rather than wait any longer, we're going to put it into our 20cm tin, which is pre-lined with parchment in the bottom. Try and do it that way, and then you won't see my hand so much. And then we're just going to put that on there. And this will flow quite nicely because it's quite not as stiff a mix as I would have probably expected it to be. It's certainly not as the last one I made was a much stiffer mix than this. And you roll up. So we'll put that in there. And what we're going to do is pop it into a preheated oven. The oven preheated to 170 fan. Just going to put it on 170 fan for about 10 minutes. And then we're going to, I'm going to then reduce it to 150 for the other 50 minutes. So finally that's now ready for the oven. So as I say, 170 fan for 10 minutes and then the remaining 50 minutes at 150. So that's it. So time is on for 10 minutes and we'll see how it goes. It does look a bit sloppy at the moment, but anyway, we'll see. It's just come freshly out of the oven. It looks a nice golden colour. I've tested it with the skewer, centre of the cake, and the skewer has come out clean, so that's good. It means it's cooked. So that's great. So we look forward to eating that. Some people say it's best to leave these overnight and eat them the next day, if you can wait that long. The cake on the left I was a bit disappointed with yesterday, so I thought I'd take a bit more time and trouble on the one today, which is the one on the right. But to be honest, on the face of it, they don't look greatly different. Basically because they're cooked in an 8-inch 20cm tin, so what I need is a 7-inch or 175 mil tin, and then it'll be a taller cake. But yesterday the one on the left tasted really good, very moist, and really enjoyed it, as did my wife's carers. So hey ho, so hopefully the one on the right will be equally as good. But I've now found another little site where it suggests that how I increase the ingredients, which is about 25%. So then hopefully by increasing the ingredients by 25%, hopefully I'll get a bigger cake in an 8-inch 20cm tin. If not, I've got to keep on searching for a 7-inch tin. So watch this space. But anyway, it tastes good, that's the main thing. Just looks a little bit thin, but I think that's probably the nature of what it was, bearing in mind that this is based on a recipe that probably goes back about 60 years, when people lived a bit more frugally and were quite happy with thinner cakes than we are maybe today.